Welcome back to Expresso, celebrating our 150th episode. It's crazy fun and magic happening as we are with the Good Hope team that are busy running their breakfast show right now with our breakfast show. And right now we had an interlink. They were live, we were live on our live, and everything was live. But also what's happening right now is our finance talk, and we're carrying on with the topic of, planning at different stages of your life and how exactly to do that, and with Mr. Warren Wilkinson, our financial advisor. So how are you?
Good morning, good in yourself?
Great to have you here. So
Excellent.
Yesterday, we were moving on just beyond my age group.
Yes.
And we started talking about, young people being married, starting to be parents and families. Who are we talking about today?
We're talking about the pre-retirement phase and then also the retirement phase of your life. And, it is a very stressful topic to talk about. Money typically freaks people out. But, the pre-retirement part of your life is actually probably one of the most important, because that's when something like compounding that we've been speaking of in the last couple of weeks really comes to fruition. Yeah. And if you're not comfortable in terms of what's going on in your portfolio and you're taking your cues from the newspapers and from the news, then you're not close enough to your advisor, and you need to go and sit down with your certified financial planner to make sure that you're comfortable in knowing what they're doing with your money leading up to retirement.
Yeah. Now, we've been speaking of this concept of compounding. Just briefly explain how it works.
Well, compounding really is when you've got 1,000 Rand and you earn 10%, it's 1,100 Rand. The next year, you're earning that 10% on the 1,100 Rand, not on the 1,000 Rand again. And it's that compounding effect that Albert Einstein said is one of the greatest mathematical inventions to ever come about. Because if you look at the compounding stuff, as we said, if you look at the 72 rule and you divide the return rate of 12 into 72, then you've got 6 years to double your money. Right. So it takes 6 years to double your money. So it's to really give your money time to grow. Right. Another aspect in terms of retirement, entering into the retirement phase, is considering what your income is going to be, considering where you're going to be staying, because retirement villages and retirement homes have got huge waiting lists. You can't wait until you are in retirement to find out, well, now you've got nowhere to stay.
But it's never nice to think about, is it? I mean,
it isn't, and unfortunately the lizard part of our brain wants to put it off for as long as possible. But as long as you're sitting down regularly, I would say at least once a quarter or every 6 months with your certified financial planner to make sure that your plans are on track. And why I say it's not just the investment part, it's also the psychological part, the emotional part of starting to seek advice, where for the most part of your corporate career, you've been driving it and building and creating wealth. Now you need to enter into a phase where you need to start spending it. And there may be family members that are still dependent on you during that phase as well. So it is very complicated. Another thing is making sure your will is being drafted correctly. That there's not just a single executor that is going to charge you the 4% on your estate to wind it up without you having a say in terms of how to structure those fees. So looking at your estate plan continuously, making sure your will is up to date, making sure that you're comfortable with the skill set of the asset managers that are busy managing your wealth. Because it's not good enough to just look at past performances. You've got to actually ask your advisor to show you what your portfolios have been doing during downtimes. Because in the retirement phase of your life, you cannot afford to lose your money. You need to protect it. You need to make sure that it's well diversified, so that if another recession should hit or another bear market should hit, that your assets are protected. So look at the portfolio and to say, what did you guys do during a downtime? Sure. Well, we protected the money. We weren't part of the market that dropped 40%. Yeah. Wow, well, that's very important to assess.
So let's bring it back to the individual. I mean, we all haven't been as diligent as to apply the correct kind of financial planning methods at particular times. If you find yourself in a position where you are part of the pre-retirement category, as you've just listed it or talked about it, what are some of the immediate things that you could do now to kind of get you back on the right path?
I think you need to evaluate really, sort of where's your bond. If you're owning a property, how much of your bond is still outstanding. You'd like to dig into that and make sure that you pay that off as quickly as possible. I'm always of the opinion that you don't want to put all your money into your bond, because at the end of the day, then you're sitting on the biggest part of your assets is then your house, and you can't go and sell a brick to go and buy bread and milk. So, you need to diversify your strategy. I think looking at things like medical aid cover, your short-term insurance, those are areas where you can often on a yearly basis look to save money. And make sure you've got, for example, gap cover when it comes to medical aid, like we've spoken to before. it's something that's relatively cheap, but it actually helps you to save money. So look at your risk management side of things, but then again, get closer to your advisor in terms of the actual portfolios that you're in, so that no matter what happens on the news or in the newspapers, you're confident and comfortable with what your portfolio is doing.
So thank you very much once again. Lovely advice. Pearls of wisdom coming there from Mr. Warren Wilkinson. And once again, the importance of making sure that your financial advisor has the adequate skills in order to manage your portfolio in terms of where you are in your life right now. Very important advice. But now over to our entertainment talk with Nodia.